In this tutorial, we will talk about implementing social login for our Spring Boot application. We will be implementing an option to log in with a Google account in this tutorial, but you can actually follow the same steps for logging in with any other social login providers like Facebook, GitHub, etc. At the beginning of this tutorial, we will create a new Spring Boot project and create a Google Cloud Console project for getting the necessary credentials for our social login application. Then we will implement the most simplest way of implementing the social login so that we can get a basic idea of how it works. Then we will create a profile page for the user. After successful social login, we will load the profile page with the information of the logged in user, including email, name, and their profile photo. And by the end of this tutorial, we will see how to customize the login screen and provide a custom login with a Google button for our application. So without further ado, let's get started. Let us start our development by creating a new project. For that, I'll be using start.spring.io, the Spring Initializer tool, and I will use most of these default selected values. So the Gradle Groovy, Java, Java 21, the latest Java LTS version as of creating this tutorial, and the Spring Boot version 3.3.2. And regarding the group, I will give the name as com.genuine and artifact OAuth, and the project name, let us give the project name as Learn Spring OAuth, right? And regarding the dependencies, we need to add a couple of dependencies. The first thing we need to add is the obvious one. I mean, the Spring Web is the default one we have to add for all Spring Web applications. So we will add that. And then for open authentication OAuth, we have to add OAuth2 client. So this dependency will help us with the social logins. So we need to add that. And on top of that, let me add Thymeleaf so that we can provide custom views and we can provide our profile view as well. So these are the three dependencies we need to add into our project. Let us generate our project and open this in the IntelliJ IDEA. I have extracted the project. Let us open that in IntelliJ IDEA now. So the folder is Learn Spring OAuth. Let me open that and maximize this window. So it is now maximized, and let us have a look at the build.gradle file and make sure that all the dependencies are there. So as you can see here, we have the OAuth2 client, Thymeleaf, and web dependencies added. Let us go ahead and have a look at the main class. So that is inside main Java Learn Spring OAuth application. And here we are good. We have the main class file. So the first thing we need to do is to create a new controller class to add some basic endpoints. So I will name the class as main controller, and let us name it as @REST controller so that it will act as a REST API. And here I will create a request mapping for the slash path, the home path. So in the home path, I will write it as public string home, and I will simply return welcome. Similarly, let me create one more endpoint, and I will name it as request mapping /user. And here I will return the details of a logged in user. So this will be, I will make sure that this endpoint is accessible only to the logged in users later. So for now, I will just create public principal user. And here I can auto wire. We can provide a parameter like this principal user, and this user will be automatically populated once the user is logged in. So for example, if the genuinecoder@gmail.com is logged in, then this principal will have the details of that logged in user. So we are simply returning the data of the logged in user here. So that's about that request mapping. Now we need to start doing the configuration. We have to configure our Spring security and Spring OAuth2 client configuration so that we can implement the Google login. In order to do the configuration, we actually need two things from our Google Cloud Console account. Let me show you what we need. So if we go into the resources section and application properties, here we have to provide two things. So let me tell you what we need. So if you search for OAuth2 .client, you can see there is a option called OAuth2 client.registration. So I'll be using that and give my provider name here, and the provider name is Google. So if you are integrating the GitHub or Facebook or any other OAuth2 service providers, you can give their name like this, Facebook or GitHub like that. So for now, for our example, we'll be using Google. So I will give Google here. And here I have to provide a client ID value. So this will be provided, this will be obtained from the Google Cloud account, which we will do next. So we need a client ID. Along with that, we need a secret ID as well. So we need client secret. So we need to create that account in the Cloud Console to obtain these two things. So for that, let me go into the Google Cloud Console, and the URL is console.cloud.google.com. So if you go in there, you'll be greeted with such a dashboard. For our example, let me create another project. So demo project, and let me name it as demo project 002. Okay. And regarding organization, I will keep it as no organization itself. So the demo project 002 is currently being built. Let us wait for that to complete. Okay, now that project is built. Let me open that. And I am greeted with this big console. So what I have to do is I need to go into the cloud overview section, and I have to go into the API and services option. And in the API and services option, we have the option to generate credentials for our OAuth. So if you go into the credential section and click on create credential, you have to choose the OAuth client ID because we are looking for OAuth service now. So if I choose that, it will ask me to fill some OAuth consent screen. So let us see. So it, as you can see here, it is asking me to finish the consent screen first. So here you can see to create OAuth client ID, you must first configure your consent screen. So I will click on the configure consent screen section and give some configuration. So first it is asking whether am I using it for internal purpose or external purpose. So if you choose internal, only Google Workspace accounts can be logged in. That means companies can purchase, like for example, with a genuine coder company, I have like something like info@genuinecoder.com, something like that. That is called internal. But if you want customers or users to log in with their Gmail account, you have to choose the external option. So anything that ends with @gmail.com, you have to use external one. So I will use external, and here I have to create a name I have to give a name for the app. So I will give it as demo application 002. And regarding the support email, I will give my email itself, thegenuinecoder@gmail.com, because I have logged in as the genuine coder. And regarding the logo, I need to give a logo. So I will just click on the browse button and click on the logo.png. And the app.domain, these are all optional, so I am not going to give that. And they are asking for developer contact information. So let me give it as thegenuinecoder@gmail.com here. So that is my contact information. Save and continue. And the next thing is we have to provide what kind of information we need from the social login. So here I have the option to add or remove scope. And here you can actually tell Google what kind of data you need. So I need the email address, right? We of course need the email address of the logged in user. We also need their profile information. So the profile information include their profile pic, their name, etc. So we will ask for that. We'll also ask for the open ID. So it is like a unique ID associated to individual person. So it is the same always for a given email account. So we will add that and click on the update. And that is fine. And here you can see once I added those requirements, all of them are listed under non-sensitive scopes. Because if you are requesting for sensitive scopes, you will have to provide more explanation and more requirement to Google, which is more complicated. So if you only need these kind of information, only request for those ones. Okay, and then let us click on save and continue. And here we have to provide test users. So during development, you have to give email ID of users you want to test this implementation. Then when you make it public, you can have any user, but during development, you have to give some user addresses. So here I will give thegenuinecoder@gmail.com. That is my one email. And I will also add tutorial.genuinecoder@gmail.com. So these two emails are added as test users. So I can log in with these emails and confirm the working of the application. Okay. So let me click on add. Those two users are added. Save and continue. Okay, now it is providing me a summary, all this information about the OAuth consent screen. So that is good. And I will click on the back to dashboard button. Now I can actually create the test credentials. So I will go into the credential section now. And here I can create a new OAuth client ID. So for the application type, I'll be choosing the web application because this is going to be a web application. And for the app name, let me give it as my demo tutorial 001. Now the next section, authorized JavaScript origin, that we can leave it empty. That is not needed to be filled right now. And the authorized redirect URI is mandatory because we have to provide this one. So here I will give HTTP localhost 8080, which is the port our application is currently running on. Then we have to provide OAuth2. Before that, there is a login. So login / OAuth2 / code / Google. So that is the redirect URI. We are not specifying this in our Spring Boot application or anything, but this is the default redirect URI Spring Boot uses. So you have to provide it, right? So I will give that and click on the create button. And now our Google Cloud Console OAuth credential is created. Now we have to use these two entries. So I have the client ID as well as the client secret. So I will go and copy this client ID, open my IntelliJ IDEA project and put the client ID here. And then I will go back and copy the client secret as well. And then copy that here in the client secret section. So those two are now configured. Now let me open the main class, our Learn Spring OAuth application, and add an annotation at enable web security. So that is required for the auto configurations of the Spring security module to kick in. So that is necessary. So let me add it here, like enable web security. Now the next thing we need to do is to provide the actual configuration for our login. So for that, let me create a class with the name Spring Config. And this is going to be a configuration. So let me add the @configuration annotation. And what we need is a bean where we configure the HTTP security with the security filter chain, which will accept an HTTP security as parameter. So regarding this part, I have a dedicated tutorial on Spring security module where each of these steps are explained thoroughly in detail. So if you have any confusion, please refer to that tutorial as well. So the first thing we need to do is to provide the authorized HTTP request option. And here, let me provide registry. So registry like this. So let me add registry dot request matches / permit all. So what this means is this one, the home path is accessible without any authentication. Everything else, so registry dot any request authenticated. So that means any request that is not / requires authentication, while only authenticated users can access it. So that is fine there. Then I need to provide a build option, which will remove the error. And what we need to do next is to provide the OAuth2 login configuration. So in the OAuth2 login, first we will try with the default values. So I will call customizer dot with the default. So the Spring Boot already provides a set of defaults for the OAuth2 login. So we will use that. So that is about that. Then we have to provide a form login option. And here also I will use customizer with the default. So we are using most of the default configuration from the Spring Boot as is for now. Now let us run our application. So let me go into Gradle and do a build again. The build is running. And let me check the task section. I have the boot run. I should have an option to run it from here. So let us see. Okay, now you can see Learn Spring OAuth application is there. Let me run the application and open the Firefox browser. So let me take this screen and go into localhost/8080/. And here you can see without login, I am able to access the welcome screen. And if I go into /login, you can see it provided a autofilled. I mean, this is a default form provided by Spring Boot for login. And here the section Google is auto-filled, that is auto-populated by Spring Boot also, because we have provided the configuration for Google here. So if you provide configuration for other providers, they will also be listed in this section. Okay. Now let me click on the Google button and let me log in with the tutorial.genuinecoder@gmail.com. It is requesting for like a sign in to demo application 002. Okay, continue. And here you can see we came back to the slash, and the slash is accessible for everyone, but let us make sure that we are successfully logged in by go into user section. And here you can see the whole details of the logged in user. So here you can see a lot of data. So the most interesting data are like a tutorial@genuinecoder.com, sorry, tutorial.genuinecoder@gmail.com, and then the name, that is Genuine Coder, and there is also a profile picture URL. So if I click on this one, I am getting the profile pic of my account. So that is possible. So we will be using this to improve our login screen. So let us do that next. Let us work on creating a profile page next. So once a user is logged in, we will redirect them to the /profile page, where we will display the name, the email, and the profile picture of the logged in user. So for that, we will be using the TimeLeaf template engine that we have added to the dependency during the project creation. So regarding the HTML code, I'll be creating that using ChatGPT because the HTML part is not in the scope of this tutorial. So I have actually prepared a prompt for the ChatGPT for it to create the template for our profile page. So let me just read and explain to you. So I want ChatGPT to create a TimeLeaf template with a CSS and HTML that shows the logged in users name, email, and photo. So let me update it as that shows the OAuth2 logged in users name, email, and photo. I'm using Google login with OAuth2 client library. Okay, then I am telling ChatGPT that I will share the name, email, and photo to the view model using name, email, and photo data fields. Use it to make a card view that is centered on the screen. Okay, so that is a basic prompt. Let us see how it generates. So it is generating the code now. Let us wait for the generation to complete. So the CSS part is done, and this is the body part. And let me copy the code and paste that into the template section. So in the template section, I will give the name as user profile.html. So the file name is that. Let me paste the code here. And we need to have a controller for that next. So this is a main controller that is a REST that is marked as @REST controller. So that is used for REST API, and this is a view API. So for that, I will create a view controller. So this is going to be a view endpoint. Hence, I will name it as, I will give the annotation @controller for the view controller class. And here I need to create a new mapping. So @get mapping, and here I will give it, the endpoint as /profile and public string profile. And here we need two things. The first thing we need is the user that is logged in. So for getting the details of the logged in OAuth2 user, I can actually use OAuth2 authentication token along with the model. So this model is used with the TimeLeaf to pass data to the HTML page. So let me import org Spring Framework UI.model. Okay, now this token will give me the details of the logged in user, and I will pass that into the view model object. So into the model, I will put model.add attribute, and I need the name. So for the name, I will use token dot get principal, then get attribute, and I will use the attribute name. Okay, so I'm using this attribute name. So if you are wondering from where did I get this attribute name, it is actually from the /user section. So if I search for name here, you can see that it is giving me the name Genuine Coder. If I search for email, you can see that it is giving me the email. Okay. And for the profile photo, I can actually search for picture. And here you can see the picture tag is providing me the actual link of the photo. Okay. So name, that is good. And let me duplicate the line. And the next thing is going to be email. So the get attribute email will be called. And similarly for photo, I will give picture, and here I will give photo. Okay. And then I will simply return user profile, which is the name of our template. And now let me run the program and open the Firefox browser. Let me go into localhost 8080 and /login. Okay, now let me log in with my account. So that is going to be tutorial.genuinecoder@gmail.com. And let me go into /profile section. It is not automatically going to that one that yet. We will do that in a moment. And when I go to /profile, you can see our nice profile is coming. So again, if you're confused, the data flow is like this. Once once a user is logged in and we are going to /profile, this will be auto-filled by Spring Boot. We are reading data from that token and passing on to the GUI part. And now what I want to do is, after login, I want to automatically go into /profile section rather than manually entering that URL. So for that, we need to go into the Spring configuration part, security configuration part, and give some customization here. So in the customization, we have like OAuth2 login. So here what I will do is, I will provide OAuth2 login. So that one, OAuth2 login. So here what I can do is OAuth2 login .success handler and provide a new authentication success handler. So once an authentication is successful, it will come to this callback. And here what I can do is I can put response.send redirect, and I can actually send it to any path I want. So here I will give /profile. So when I give /profile here, after authentication, it will go into that path. So let us try this. Let us try that with my another email account, so that you can also confirm that the profile picture is properly loading. So here, let me go into /, so that is fine. Then /login, Google, genuinecoder@gmail.com, continue. And here you can see it automatically redirected into the /profile section. So that's it, guys. That's how you implement a profile screen for your authenticated users. And I hope the redirection part is also clear. Now, let us see how we can provide a custom login page. And the procedure is going to be very similar to what we have done with the profile page. We will create an HTML page and simply bind that. So let us see how we can do that next. So the first thing I want to show you guys is like, how does the login actually work? So if I close the application and restart and go into whatever protected URL, it will take me to login screen. And if I check the hyperlink, you can see in the bottom section here that it is making a call to OAuth2 authorization Google. So that is the only idea that we need to have. Whatever content we add for this OAuth authentication, it simply has to call this URL, OAuth2 authorization Google, and then it will proceed with the login. So let us do that. And regarding the HTML content, I have used ChatGPT to prepare a very simple HTML page. So I will paste that here and show you the content. So for that, let me name it as custom login. So custom login.html, and let me provide it like this. So let me provide the HTML code here. So this part is just CSS styling. So I have added this font, and the HTML style is added. And basically this is the only HTML content it has. So it has a form, it has a button. When I click on the button, the form will submit to OAuth2 authorization Google, which is the actual link we want to call. Now the next task we have to do is to link that login screen into the configuration. So for that, what we need to do is to before the success handler, we have to provide an option, and that is going to be login page. And here I will simply call it as /login. So we are saying that we need to have that /login enabled. Let me remove this default login. So currently I'm using the default login screen provided by Spring Boot. So that is removed. And I have to specify that when /login is called, I have to load the use custom login.html file. Okay, so for that I will go into view controller and create a new get mapping. So at get mapping /login public string login, I don't need any of these parameters, so I will remove that. And here I will simply return custom login. That's all. So I am telling that when it comes to /login endpoint, load this HTML file, custom login.html file. Let us see how this works. So let me run the application again and go to /login, and it has an error. So let us now understand what is the problem. So if I do it like this, the problem is going to be that I haven't specified that the /login should be permitted for all users. So here previously I was using the default configuration, but now I am using the custom one. So I have to specify that the /login is accessible for everyone without logging in, so that they can actually go and log in. So I will add that and run the application again and refresh. And here you can see the login screen is coming. So I have the sign in with the Google button, and when I click on that, it will call that specific URL. So let us see how it works. So let me click on that. It is properly loading the login screen. Let me click on the genuinecoder@gmail.com so that that account will be logged in. All right, continue. And you can see it successfully logged into my account. So that's it, guys. That's how you implement the social login for your Spring Boot based applications. So in this example, we have implemented the social login using Google. Currently in our custom login screen, there is only social login, but you can have both username, password based login along with the social login. Regarding the username and password based login, I have already covered that in detail on my dedicated Spring Security tutorial. You can check it here if you are interested. And you can also provide multiple social login providers easily. For example, we have added the Google with the Google's client ID and client secret. You can add it for Facebook, GitHub, anyone who supports social login, like simply by providing the client ID and secret like that. So I hope this tutorial has been useful to you. I will see you on the next one. Bye.